Well, don't know what happened there. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Just One Word Done. Well, I don't know what's happening today. The technology is all over the place, but hey, we're here. You can tell by my voice, I'm a little croaky. I've been away for a couple of weeks. I hope you've enjoyed the messages that I was teaching for the 2 weeks I was gone, and I hope the technology held out and it went out okay. So, but we're back today. I've been struggling with the studio computer today, so I was backwards and forwards thinking I might have to go back to the office, but looks like we've got it sussed at last. So God bless you. I don't have a sore throat. I'm feeling fine. I think my husband's been praying, so I've lost my voice a bit, but that's okay because I've got a guest with me today. I've told you already she's got to do most of the talking, but thing is, she's a woman like me, bubbly and outgoing. I don't think she's going to have any trouble doing that. So without any further ado, I'm going to welcome Karen Mettam. Karen, welcome.
Hi, Jan. Thank you for having me. It's so good to be here.
It's great to have you here. I mean, since the time I met you, and I realized that, you know, you've got something to say. I was excited about having you come on and share what it is that you do. But tell me a little bit about you, where you're from, what you do, and all the rest of it. That'd be great.
Yeah, so I'm from Doncaster in South Yorkshire, and I'm a mum of 4 boys, all in the 20s. So we all made it through the teenage years. Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah, I just keep, the connection keeps going down. Carry on.
So yeah, they're all in the 20s now. So we made it successfully through the teenage years, which is amazing. Had our first grandbaby this year. I've been married to Tim for 23 years, and I've been working as a sign language interpreter actually for around about 30 years now. So
that's amazing. That's an amazing thing to do. I think you did a lot of signing at the one event which has now become Awaken, didn't you?
I actually started at Grapevine well over 30.
Really?
Yeah, about 30 years ago. So we're going back way back.
I always think it looks so great. I've got a friend who signs as well, so, and you know, she tells me little bits about it, but I always think it's a tremendous gift to have. What led you into that?
It's really strange because my granddad actually taught me the alphabet when I was about 10 years old, and I did it for the guides, you know, the kind of sign language, deaf awareness. I have no clue where my granddad learnt it from. I've no idea. But he taught me that, and I actually ended up teaching some of my friends at school the alphabet, and so that we could have private conversations without the teachers knowing what we were saying about them. And then a few years later, after I'd kind of forgotten about that, left high school, and then a few years later, we've got a really big college for deaf people here in Doncaster, and we had a lot of students join our church, and so I found myself looking at the songs on the worship. I was looking at the words on the worship songs, watching the interpreter and seeing if I could match up the signs to the songs, and realised that actually I loved doing it and I could pick it up quite easily, and then made a lot of friends from the Deaf College as well. So that's how I got into interpreting, actually through deaf people joining our church a few years ago. Well, 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's great. That actually, I'm going to put you on that side. Actually, that's better. That actually, because your thinking was let's learn this stuff so that the teachers wouldn't know, has led you into a lifelong career and many lifelong friends. It's amazing how God works all things together for our good, and we are called according to His purpose, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I mean, what a brilliant thing to be able to do. And so you're still signing. You're living in Dublin, still signing.
Yeah.
What else you're up to?
So a few years ago, I really felt God saying to me that all these times that I've been interpreting, I've stood on stages in front of thousands. I've interpreted in front of hundreds of people, both into BSL and into English. And I really felt a few years ago that God was saying to me that it was time for me to bring my own message. And because obviously when I'm interpreting, I don't get to voice opinions. I don't get to have a say on anything because I am literally there just to facilitate communication and make sure that that happens smoothly. So I really felt God saying to me that it's time for me now to bring my own message. And I didn't know what that looked like. I had no clue. And I'm like, who is that message for? What message is it? When do I start to bring that? And so I started going on a journey of just saying to God, tell me what that message is, show me. And it's almost like God doesn't give you like 5 steps ahead, He will literally give you the next step. So I found myself going on training courses, learning how to speak well, to deliver my own message, because I can interpret somebody else's message, but I've never stood on stage and formulated and crafted my own message to bring. And that's what I started doing. And at the same time, just praying and saying, God, I was asking God to give me pennies. I was going out for a walk every single day. And I was like, God, can you give me pennies? Because I don't know where you're leading me to. I don't know who it is, but I know that for every penny that I find on the floor, that represents the life of somebody that I know you will bring into my future. So I get to pray for that person before I even meet them. And so I started finding pennies after a while, actually. I went for a walk for 2 weeks and I didn't find a penny. I didn't find anything. And I remember standing at the junction of the street and I'm like, God, do you not trust me? Am I hearing you right? Or did I just eat too much cheese? Which one is it? Do you want me to do something and bring a message? And I remember looking down and there was a £2 coin at my feet. And I'm thinking that is 200 people right there that I get to pray for until the time comes that I actually get to meet them. So that's the kind of journey that He's been taking me on, just to find out what that is. So He's really been showing me that. And I think when you say yes to God, as I say, sometimes it's not always clear. The next step is not always clear. And sometimes you need to kind of go this way in order for you to come back this way. And I remember actually hosting a virtual event. It's when the hybrid events were happening just after COVID, and there was having in-person and online. My friend had asked me to host the online section for her virtual conference that she was doing, and I said yes, and then realized after I'd said yes that she was in California and I was over in England. So what started at 9 o'clock her time started at 5 o'clock in the afternoon my time. So I actually worked all the way through the night. Got to meet some amazing speakers, and one of them in particular that took me really onto the next part of my journey, of finding my message, of finding my voice. So yeah, that's kind of the journey.
So when you speak, great. When you speak, then do you speak and sign at the same time?
No, because it's to be honest, it's a completely different grammar structure. So sign language is a completely different structure. So it's almost like having French grammar and English grammar, and it's just like it confuses both messages.
Right.
So
yeah, I can imagine that, because I've watched people sign, and I realised that they're in a different place to where we're hearing. So I can imagine that'd be quite difficult to
Yeah.
do that. Yeah, it'd be like trying to interpret into German while you're speaking
Yeah,
English.
it
Yeah.
is.
But I've just realized, you know what, the beginning of this program, we were live long before we were live. So God knows what's happened at the beginning of this. I just realized my live has been, usually I struggle to put the live on, but technologically everything was messed up today. I restarted and started and restarted. And so there's probably a load of junk at the beginning. So what I'm going to do at the end is I'm going to go online. I'm going to delete all the live streams and upload it without the front bit on. So everybody will get the actual. So those people that are watching live, they're probably thinking, oh my goodness, don't know what's going on here. But hey, that's okay. A lot of people watch it in and catch up, which is great. So yeah, it goes out on 5 different platforms. So I'll have to go in, delete them all and upload the new one and so on. Yeah. All right, that's technology for you, isn't it? But while we're waiting, I'm just going to. I'm going to play a song from somebody that you know very well, and then we'll come back and talk about. It's from.
When this world is taking all my strength from me, when my feelings grow so dark that I can't see, when I'm shaking in the corner with my tears, I look for you. When my struggle seems to tear my faith in two, and when loneliness turns every feeling blue, when I'm desperate to find the right way through, I look for you. There you are, holding my heart. You're coming to feel that unsettles me. There you are, stirring my soul, bringing a song in the silence. There you are, you're holding my heart. You're letting me know there is hope to lean on. There you are, holding my heart. You're pouring your perfect love down deep inside. When the pressure bears down hard upon my time, when the cruel, deceitful lies swirl through my mind, when I'm barely hanging on for just a sign away from you, there you are, holding my heart, coming to feel that unsettles me. There you are, stirring my soul, bringing a song in the silence. There you are, holding my heart, coming to feel that unsettles me. There you are, stirring my soul, bringing a song in the silence. There you are, holding my heart. You're letting me know there is hope to lean on. There you are, holding my heart, pouring your perfect love down deep inside.
Yeah, you recognize him, don't you? You might have known him for a long time. If you work grapevine, you probably know from when he was knee high to a grasshopper, don't you? So, um, so yeah, the next step on the journey. So you were taken under the wing of a lady, and tell me what happened next.
So she sent me one of her books, and I read this book from cover to cover within about 2 days. And she was talking about a course that she had. It was an online course. It was called Radiant Leadership Academy, and it was written by women for women, with women in a women's group. So I was really drawn to do this course because I knew that I had to redefine for me what leadership was. I had a lot of kind of hurt and trauma from people that were in leadership in my life over, as I was growing up, through being a teenager. And although I felt maybe God was calling me into leadership of some kind, there was also another part of me that didn't want anything to do with leadership, because in my head I was thinking, I don't want to hurt people the way that I've been hurt through leadership. So when I saw this Radiant Leadership Academy, I really felt that I needed to do this. And it was 16 weeks of God really redefining in me what his leadership is, and where it starts with me, and where it starts from the inside out leadership. And I get to lead myself well first. And so I did the 16-week leadership course. And my two questions that I was asking God is like, do you trust me to be a leader? And are you calling me to be a leader? Because I think sometimes I was putting almost leadership on a pedestal, that it's like, well, that's for those that are called, that's not for me. And it was only when I'd finished this that I'm realizing, actually, God has called me to be a leader, even if that's in my own house with my own family. And I get to lead well in that. And so I said to God, as soon as we got to the end of the 16 weeks, and I'm like, okay, God, I'm going to be your martini girl. And for any of those that are watching that are old enough to remember the martini adverts, where it said, anytime, any place, anywhere, martini. And I'm like, God, that is me. That is how I feel. Anytime, any place, anywhere, wherever you want me to go, whatever you want me to do, I'm here to do that. And so it was in January that Michelle Schaefer, who actually wrote the course, created the course, she'd actually created something called Girl Power Alliance as well, which is a group of coaches, a group of women that have sort of like said, look, I've written this course. Can we put all these courses together that we've written onto a platform somewhere and have a membership, so that every month we get to have different courses? And so I had joined Girl Power Alliance at the same time, and there were some amazing courses in there, like having confidence on camera, how to learn how to do Canva, Mama's in the Word. There was a whole load of different courses. And in the January, I'm saying to God, I don't know what you want me to do next, but I know that you've got something. Michelle contacted me and she says, we're going to add a business side to Girl Power Alliance, so that not only are we resourcing women in the kingdom, we are building community of like-minded women that want to grow together, that want to develop either as leaders or within their own community, within their own family, but we also get to resource them so that they can build an extra income, so that they can resource the kingdom. And so I said, absolutely, I'm 100%, I'm in. And that was in January of last year. The growth of that has been amazing. And I'm starting to grow that over here in the UK, because for me, what I was realizing is that when I wanted to do a course, I didn't know very often where the source of that was coming from. And so I was sending out, so when I was doing the courses, Very often I would hear people say, we're throwing this out to the universe, and you know where the source of this is coming from. And I'm like, but I know that I'm like got a direct line to the creator of the universe. And so I know that I don't have to throw things out to the universe and hope that it comes back. And so I was almost filtering the information through that before I started. And so what I loved about Girl Power Alliance is that this is Christ-centered. So whether it is that the women that are delivering the courses are Christians, they're faith-based, Bible-believing Christians, or whether things come through a biblical frame of reference. And so over the last 2 years, that has grown so much. And it's just been amazing just to see these different coaches joining Girl Power Alliance to say, look, I've got a course on sex and intimacy. I'm going to put that into Girl Power Alliance. I've got a course on confidence on camera, on how to create courses, how to create content, how to dream with God, and just building up this bank of amazing courses, amazing resources. Radiant Leadership now is part of that membership because it wasn't before. It could only be bought as a standalone course. And we've also just introduced a speaking academy, which has a kingdom influencer in 10 minutes. We call them Kim 10. So very similar to the TEDx talks that you can see on YouTube and around social media. These are Kim 10 talks, and this is kingdom influence in 10 minutes. So it's like, what is the story? What is the restoration, transformation story that God has done in your life? And let's teach you how to bring that in 10 minutes to a stage. And I've just seen the first 22 women go through that program and see the Kim 10 talks. And I can't wait to see those going out on a platform, you know, over the next few years as that starts to grow. And so this really is for anybody that is wanting to be in a community of like-minded women that want to grow, that want to maybe even have an extra stream of income and don't know where to start. All that is literally here in one package in the membership with Girl Power Alliance. And I'm just excited to see where God gets to take that in the UK, in Europe. We've already got an amazing team in America, in Canada. We're starting to reach out now into places like, where am I thinking? New Zealand and Australia. Starting to reach into, and because it's a digital product, it can be used anywhere. So, and that's what God's had me doing. It's been amazing. 2 years, well, 18 months.
That's exciting. That's exciting. Exciting to me. Women becoming confident to stand on a platform and speak, because it's still women are still in the minority. And one of my things, you know, I teach how to preach and teach and presentation skills, and so I do. And so for me, it grieves me, men and women, but it grieves me very much when I see people who have a message to bring, but no knowledge how to bring it. And so that's exciting to me, that there's a way of people learning, not just who they are, not just how to bring that to other people. That's very exciting. So yeah, so you have 22 women. Is that 22 people in the UK that are now ready to get out there and do it?
I think most of those were in America. So I went to the conference last week in San Diego. So that was where the first kind of cohort happened. And so they will be, I think, starting to appear on YouTube in different places. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And I think for me, what was one of the biggest impacts of that, there was a lady there, and she had never spoken on stage before. She'd never held a microphone before. She'd never shared her story, which was really personal to her. And within 9 weeks, so it was a 9 weeks coaching program, she stood on stage and she delivered her Kim 10 talk, and I could feel the weight of what it was costing her to do that. And not from a financial point of view, but from a personal, emotional, spiritual point of view. I'm like, oh, I felt like all of that. And then, you know what? Every one of us have got a message inside of us about what God has done in us. And even if that is that, well, I've not done drugs, not done sex, rock and roll, and all the things, that is somebody's Kim 10 talk. That is somebody's story.
That's true. So often we think that a testimony has to be from really bad to really good. And it's not at all. I remember a young man years ago, a young man in my Bible college, I had asked them all to prepare a Kim 10 talk. I mean, it was really a preach, 5 or 10 minute preach on anything they wanted to teach on. At the end of my teaching on how to preach, how to prepare a message and so on. And this young man, I will never forget him. His name was George Luke. He's still around. And I don't even know if he remembers this, but he stood up and he said, my message is called The Unimportant People in the Kingdom of God. And he said, there aren't any. And then he proceeded to share. He said, I grew up in a Christian home. I love God from an early age. I never drank, never did drugs, never did, I was in church. He said, and I used to want a testimony. I'm like, God, I got no testimony. He said, and I realized, he said, I felt like I was unimportant, but realized that actually there's nobody unimportant. And I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had that testimony. It's true. Yeah. So I think we underestimate the power of the keeping power of Christ. When somebody's saved early on and they stay in the kingdom, we underestimate that.
Absolutely.
But so what's next? Is there another side to you? You've got that business, you've got your family, you're involved in church.
Yeah, so we go to Powerhouse in Doncaster, which I think, so at the moment, I think because I'm really busy just with work and building the business at the moment, it's like when I do get time off, it's like I'll be like up in the Lake District or in the Peak District, in the Yorkshire Dales, and I'll be out there somewhere. Going on walks, taking photos, taking the kids out.
Really? I'm not an outdoor girl at all. I'm like, I got off the ship in Southampton on Sunday and I'm like, it is cold. And I was so disappointed because we had planned to go to a church in Southampton that I know of. And I planned to get there, but the service starts at 10. By the time we'd waited 45 minutes for a pre-booked cab, got back to the hotel to pick our car up, it was too late. And I was so disappointed because I wanted to go, but I was so cold by the time that cab came. And it took me 2 days to warm up. And I'm like, I look outside and I go, no, you're all right.
It looks nice.
Yeah, my husband's a Yorkshireman, so he's like, what are you worried about? So anybody think it's winter?
And sometimes even if those trips out to the Yorkshire Dales is to find a nice coffee shop somewhere and to find a filming location that I've not visited yet. So where did the film calendar go?
So you film as well? Is that filming one of your talks or just filming the area or what?
No, sorry, I meant like, so I love to visit like film locations as well. So
okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, imagine. Oh, I'm a vlogger, so when I'm on the cruise, I vlog every day, or almost every day, I've got a YouTube channel called The Cruise Queen, and so nice. I vlog into that and Facebook and stuff every day. Yeah, people like my
and I do a lot of reels.
Reels. Oh, reels, yes. I mean, social media is just amazing for the gospel. I love it. I think we're so blessed in this time. Yes, it can be used for bad stuff. Yes, there's a load of rubbish on there, but you know what? You can get the gospel out there and
do you know what?
and just encourage people.
Yeah, and I think we forget that sometimes, because I've just done a year's. One of my friends is reading through the Bible in a year, and we did it from like Genesis to Revelation. So I was reading every Saturday, and sometimes I'm thinking, this is at 2:00 in the afternoon, and I could have gone out for the full day, but I'm waiting to do this. And you know what? Every single time I turned on Facebook, I turned on StreamYard, I picked up my phone, and it was just such an honor. And I'm like, I never want to take this for granted, that I can turn on social media, I can pick up my phone, I can read from the Bible with no fear of somebody coming to the door, taking the kids away, taking the house away, losing my life, all that thing that people go through every day. And it's like, the only thing I have to fear is somebody trolling me, disagreeing with me on social media. And so for me, it was like, honestly, such an honor every time I got to do this. And it's like, sorry, God, I didn't mean to complain about it being in the middle of the day.
I agree. I think I remember one time I made something came on and said on Facebook and said, the Bible says that women shouldn't teach. And I didn't respond. I said nothing. I thought, I'm not even going to go there. But one of my former students, who's now a minister in Asia, came back and defended the point. And lots of other people men came on and defended the point, because it was through my ministry that they are doing what they're doing. And so, you know, I never get bent out of shape when people disagree with me, you know. There's no point, you know, there's just no point getting uptight about stuff. And you know, life's too short, you know. And Jesus did, he was always, when the Pharisees spoke to him, he always just answered a question with a question, didn't he?
He did.
So yeah, why not? So, you know, I figure that's the best way to do it. And that's not my nature. My nature is to rise up and defend, you know. When I'm defending someone else, it's like, you know, it's funny because I don't like anybody else being spoken badly of. I want to rise up and defend them. And, you know, I love the cruise line that we go on mostly is MSC. And it's an Italian cruise line, and it's very good value for money. There's no better value for money on the ocean. But it's not an American cruise ship, and it's not got everything everyone likes. And people complain, of course, you know, and I always want to get up in their faces, you know, defend it. Someone says, why are you getting uptight? Why are you trying to defend it? Because I don't like that people make statements about this that are not true, you know, sweeping statements. The same with the things of God. I just hate it when people make sweeping statements, you know. I mean, I've got the Bible College, online Bible College, and I put ads out there, and I'll get snarky about Bible College, like, oh, this is fiction and so on. And I so want to respond. I so want to, but I don't, because you're just playing into that negativity.
Why is this in my newsfeed? Well, actually, because you commented on that, you're going to get more of this in your newsfeed. So keep commenting.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's like, oh, you know, I mean, what I really should do is just go, really, ? You know, and let them come back. But yeah, but I thank God that we have the opportunity. And this, you know, I use Restream, and it goes out to 5 channels, and I love that. I've got a radio thing, and you know, it's a blessing to be able to do that. So
it's so
to
good.
be able to share people what God is doing, it's brilliant. So
yeah. And what we
it's always good to hear.
Sorry, there was some overlap. When we was at the conference last week, we had some impromptu baptisms, and we said, is there anybody that's not been baptized that wants to be baptized? And we actually took over the rooftop pool. And what was amazing is there was probably about maybe 70 women up there at the rooftop pool. But there were people that had been using the pool that were all sat down videoing what was going on and where that was going to, whether they were Facebook Living, whatever they were doing. But the people that had been using the pool before we got to it were actually sat there recording. They were sat there with their phones, and it was just amazing. You know, that it's like, this is like the church has left the building. It's like we're taking over the pool for about an hour while we do these baptisms, and then you can go back to your swimming. And it was just amazing, just to have that kind of public testimony.
What great testimony!
So good.
Isn't that what baptisms are supposed to be? They're supposed to be a testimony about what God has done. It's an outward working of an inward happening. So when you can do it publicly, that's amazing. My church, we used to go down to Portsmouth. Some friends of ours had a church in Portsmouth. Once a year, we'd go down in August. It was usually freezing, but sometimes it'd be nice, you know, as is England. We'd go down to Portsmouth. Both the churches would have a bunch of people to be baptized. Guys would go in the water. We girls would stand on the side and read the scriptures. Yeah, we'll pray and read the scriptures. And then we'd have a barbecue. And it was wonderful. And people on the beaches to come along, just see what's going on. And I think that when we can take the gospel out of the church, it's far more effective. I mean, I'm not an evangelist. I don't know about you. I'm not an evangelist at all. You know, Brenda, who you met when you popped in to have coffee with us, she's an amazing evangelist. She's in her late 70s. She goes out on the streets. She leads people to Jesus all the time. I say to her, you catch them, I'll clean them up, you know. That is not me. And you know, so when we were in Cadiz, and we sat at the cathedral, near the cathedral, having coffee. I think I probably had wine actually, but anyway, we were sitting there having a drink, watching these people lining up to pay to go into the cathedral. And you know, we were just, and then I suddenly heard this guy, and it sounded like he was preaching, you know, a young guy, and he's walking up and down. He's got a headset mic on and a little pack that was like his little loudspeaker. And he's walking up and down. I couldn't really hear what he was saying, but I could hear Jesus, you know, and he got his Bible, and he's just walking up and down. I thought, I do so admire that, because I couldn't do that. You know, everyone's ignoring him totally. I mean, want to go, hi, you, listen to me, you know. But he was walking up and down, and I had no idea. And my husband said, we should encourage him if he's preaching the gospel. And I said, yeah, we should. And then before we could finish our drinks and get up, he came past us, and I stopped him. And I said, he was English. And I said, I was going to come and encourage you, but I didn't know if you were preaching grace or condemnation. He said, grace. I said, then well done. That's great. And I said, what are you doing here? So I said, what are you doing here in Cadiz? He said, oh, I'm on a cruise. I said, really? Which cruise? He said, MSC. I'm like, that's the cruise we're on. This is a young guy, baby, on our cruise. And I was humbled. He was out in Cadiz. We were sitting there with a cup of coffee or whatever in the sun. He's walking up and down preaching Jesus, you know. Isn't that amazing?
I love when you said, why are you preaching grace or condemnation? I love that you asked that question.
Well, you know, some people preach hellfire and brimstone, you know. Some people preach the love of Jesus, and you know, if they're preaching the love of Jesus, and I'm happy. But let's have another song, and then we'll talk a bit more about what God's doing with you. And this is Dave.
Hey everyone, hope you're keeping really, really well. Well, we did our first moment challenge, which was the 90s worship anthems challenge. You can check it out below if you haven't seen that one yet. We have been given another challenge. Because all of the moment guys and girls are in quarantine at the minute, it means that we can't gather together to do any songs. So we've been given the challenge, or I've been given the challenge, is it possible for me to record all of the parts for a song? So let's try and see if I can do it.
unfortunately, my internet, I don't know why, I've got the highest speed internet available in this country. And today it's been a nightmare. So isn't that typical? So I hope everybody didn't hear it quite as bad as I did.
No, it sounded good.
Yeah, I was chopping all over the place here, and I don't know if it's I mean, it kept saying connection lost, reconnecting. So, but you can't tell when you're this end. But hey, so Karen, what's next for you?
So I think what's next for me is after doing the Radiant Leadership Academy 4 times, I did it 4 times because you know what? It was like God peeling off layers of onions off of me. And it's like, oh, I needed to go a bit deeper on that bit. It's split into 4 pillars. Then we look at our identity in God. We look at finance. We look at like our body as a temple. And then we look at our influence and where we're at now. And it's just, honestly, God speaks to me differently every time. And so I went out to San Diego in March of this year to become a certified coach in Radiant Leadership Academy. So I'm actually coaching my own classes now. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be taking the Speakers Academy so that I can learn just to formulate my message better, because I can talk the hind leg off a donkey. I really can. But it's like how to say more with less words, I think, is what I'm wanting, the place that I'm wanting to get to.
Yeah.
And just grow this, just build this over here.
Yeah. So where do you get your clients from?
So at the moment, what I'm doing is I am using social media. I'm using Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, just to connect with people. And as well, what I keep doing before I do that, I'm just praying and saying, God, you draw the women to me because you know where they are. And I know that there are women, excuse me, in the UK, just like I was a few years ago, that are crying out for something like this, you know, for the community, you know, for the business side of it, and also for the kind of just the growth side of it. And especially here in the UK. We have a totally different mindset than they do in America.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I know that they're out there. I know that they're here. So God, we need to work together on this.
Yeah.
I've also got a stand at Christian Resources exhibition in a couple of weeks. So, and that
gosh, I haven't been to CRE for ages.
I know. I didn't even know if it was still going. Oh, and I think that was just a God thing of like, I wonder if CRE is still going.
Yeah.
Turned them up and booked a stall.
We had a stand there, gosh, a few years ago. It must be 10 years ago now. But yeah, it's a good place to meet people. But I think an advantage is that this is something quite new. It's not hackneyed, you know. It's not been around a long time and everyone's had a go. It's a new way of doing things, and I think it's a niche. And so, you know, having a niche for women, you know, I'm not really a woman's woman. I'm not really into women's ministry particularly. I have agreed to go to our women's meeting this year, but I was kind of guilted into that, really.
Do you know what? It was really funny, actually, when we were at the conference last week. And the amount of women that stood on stage and sort of like, I'm not a girly girl. I don't do women's events. I don't do like women's tea parties. I'm not a kind of, you know, I don't like Christian women's events. But here I am kind of like getting all the feels and getting the downloads from the Holy Spirit. And this is, you know.
Well, it's about the quality of what you're getting rather than delivering. And I think, you know, if and when it's changed your life, then you've got a message to give and to help other people to change their lives. So you can see I've put the website on the bottom of the screen so people can see that. I've left it up running all the time so that people can make a note of it and do it. But of course, feel free to share this video and put your link on so that And edit me out if you like. I don't care.
I wouldn't do that.
Right. I give, I'll send you a copy of it, and it can edit you out. But but I have. I'm going to play a commercial because I don't often get a chance to do this. So I'm going
Bible College course offering a deeper dive into the Word. Want to deepen biblical understanding? Find out who you are in Christ. Build your faith? Then check out our 100+ lessons on subjects such as covenant authority, healing, Ephesians. You can't say fairer than free. www.reallifebiblecollege.com.
That looks brilliant. That looks really good.
That's my ad for the Bible College, and I think it's great that there are so many things that are available to people now, depending on what they want, and that's brilliant. I was principal of a Bible college for 16 years, and I taught at it for 8 years before that. So and finally put it online. So yeah, I don't itinerate as much as I used to, although I love to. Yeah. So do you get out and about much in UK to minister? Do you go to different places, or how's that door?
Not really, but I am planning on starting to do events. Just to kind of just get the word out there of what we are, what we do, what our vision is, what our passion is, and so really got a strategy of just wanting to just get to different places and get invited to different places so that I can just get out, to the world what this is. And I think, it's okay doing things online, but I think actually meeting people face to face, and it's because we can do it now. We don't have the excuse of like, oh, everything has to be online. There was such a difference when I met some of the women that I've only seen in like a 6-inch square screen over the last year, and actually get to meet them and hug them. And it's like, oh, you're shorter than I thought you was. Oh, you're taller than I thought you was. And it's like, and just being able to just spend time with them. It's like, there's nothing that can replace that.
I believe you're right. I think that Zoom is amazing. It's great. And for business, it's been incredible. And I think COVID did us all a big favor in that respect. I mean, my son and his family all live in Mauritius at the moment. They all work online, which is great. But there's nothing quite like, I couldn't wait to get back to church after COVID and hug people. There's just something about it, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Touching people is just special. And so, yeah, I totally agree with you. And sometimes it's worth doing a little short Zoom with people to give them a taster, and then say, okay, now that's going to lead into an event. And I think that's what people are doing all over the country, which is wonderful. So, I think, well, one of the things I remember, we have a prayer night once a month on a Thursday in our church, and we have it online as well, because a lot of people are still at home or for whatever reason, and they can't get babysitters or whatever, and they join online. And one month my sister had come over from Belgium, and I thought, oh, you know what, I would just join prayer meeting online because it's just like an hour and a half, and I hated it. I just hated it. It just you couldn't feel the same thing. It just wasn't the same. So doesn't matter what the weather's like, doesn't matter how I'm feeling, I get up and go, because just to be in the same room with people and sense what God's doing. And online, I missed that. So I think there's something to be said for meeting face to face. So whenever you're ready to to do your events, then send it over to me, and I'll put it out on the broadcast, but I'll also put it on Facebook and promote it for you, because I think there are a lot of women that need what you're doing, And I think a lot of the times women still don't get the opportunities, especially in this country, that they should get. And for whatever reason, I mean, I thank God I've always had a very supportive husband who, you know, he tells everybody I'm his favorite preacher. But he's smoothie, you know. But yeah, and so I've never had to hide my light under a bushel, but I know a lot of ladies who do. And it's encouraging them to find out who they are in Christ and recognizing that they're not just half of a whole.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's probably one of the biggest things that, you know, people used to say, you know, marriage is 50-50. No, it's not. It's 100%, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I think as well because over the last 2-3 years is like when my children have sort of like left to go to university as well. And I think what I realized is that I had to put a lot of work into my marriage before, like maybe 5 years before I even started thinking these are going to go to university, because it's like, you know, I didn't want to get to the point. I'd seen so many friends that had, you know, their kids had gone to university and they're sort of like sat up, you know, across the sofa from this guy, and they're like, well, we don't even have anything in common anymore. And so like we really started investing more in our marriage. And it's like, and for some women, you know, that if they've sown their entire lives into the children, regardless of whether they're married or not, and their children go off and start living their own life, and then suddenly it's this like really strange feeling of like, am I still needed? Am I still their mum? What's my identity? And just, I mean, I didn't feel a lot of that. I mean, I was like, you know, sad to see them go, but like within a couple of weeks, I'm like, actually, this piece is really nice. I'm loving this.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I always say to people, you know, that the children should not come first, and people go, you know, and I'm like, no. Your first is God, then it's your husband or your wife, and you keep that relationship, because I said otherwise one morning you're going to wake up, look across the breakfast table and say, who are you? You know? We love the fact when the kids left, you know, it's great to have them back, but it's still great when they go again. You know, our kids, my son lives abroad, so he lives abroad for 3 months at a time, then comes home. They all come and stay with us for a few weeks, and I love it. But when they go, it's like, it's great, and I'm sure they feel the same when we go to them. You know. But yeah, so I think you've got to build your relationship. That's so vital.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
I remember saying to my husband about 2-3 years ago, and I said to him, I says, I want to do a 52 date night challenge. And he's like, what do you mean? I says, I want us to go on 52 dates this year. And I could literally see the colour drain out of his face. And I'm like, I'm not talking 52 dates of whining and dining and kind of going out to all these. I'm like, we get to redefine what dates mean for us. Yeah. And it's like, we had so much fun that year, you know, and actually kind of asking him questions that I'd never asked him in 20 years of marriage. It's like, I'm getting to know him on a whole new level. You know, we had so much fun that year.
Oh, that sounds great. You should do it every year. I mean, we've just come back from a 15-night cruise, and we love those times where we can just talk and find out more things. And, you know, we're chatting, and he says something, and I'm like, you never told me that. We've only been married 55 years, you know. But yeah, love it. And it's so vital. Karen, it's been such a joy having you on the program and finding out about what you're doing. And I do pray every success for your venture, and pray for all the ladies that are going to be involved in it, because it's so necessary. And once it gets going, we'll have you come on again and share what's going on. I'm gonna play out a lady. She's a Nigerian lady. I'm gonna play us out with some music. She's a Nigerian lady called Bose Ayodele. I met her in Nigeria. Her sister is a minister over here, and in Nigeria, she's actually an apostle, Fumi, and I've known Fumi for years, but just met Bosse when I was over there, and she's got some great stuff on YouTube. So she gave me permission to share her stuff. So thanks ever so much, Karen. God bless everybody, and I'm going to play you out with Moni Oni Baba.
Lójú àwọn ọ̀tá mi, ó dá òróró lé mi lórí, aago mi kún àkúnwọ́ sílẹ̀ o. Ní tòótọ́, ire àti àánú yóò máa tọ̀ mí lẹ́yìn o lọ́jọ́ ayé.